with your new friend Ty.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Tea Party Podcast. It's a podcast where you find new friends and new music. This week I'm joined by a guest you might recognize from NBC's The Voice or from his appearance on The Tonight Show at just 8 years old. He's now touring the country with his band Iron Mountain, and he is here to share his story and talk about his recently announced appearance at this year's FarmJam Festival. Well, let's welcome to the show, Mr. Carson Peters. Carson, how the heck are you, friend?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. We've been trying to set this up for, like a month now. So I'm glad that we're finally able to get together for this.
I know, man. It's been a long time coming.
It'll be fun. We'll get to chatting, but we'll tee off with Carson next.
It's time to tee off with Ty. Here comes the first four.
Okay, here we go. Question number one. Would you rather be the funniest or the smartest person in a room, and why?
Oh, man. That's a good one.
It's a tough one.
That is a tough one. They both would definitely have their advantages. I'm a big fan of comedy and stand-up comedy specifically. So I'm gonna go with funniest just because I have a better chance of being the funniest person in the room than the smartest for sure.
That's fair. That's fair. Who's your favorite stand-up?
Oh, Lord. Gosh, it would definitely be hard to choose just one. Lately, Theo Vaughn has been cracking me up.
Okay.
His podcast stuff and his stand-up stuff. I like Dave Chappelle. I feel like everybody likes Dave Chappelle, but yeah, I'd have to go with Theo Vaughn as of late.
That's a good pick. I don't think anybody can argue with that.
I would love to have an argument with somebody about that because I've got a lot in the tank for that.
There you go. Okay, question number 2, Carson. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Gosh, I've asked myself this before, and I've had trouble just thinking of one. I'm a big food guy. I like food.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have to go with hot wings, buffalo wings. Just from Buffalo, New York, because I figured out that buffalo wings everywhere else do not even come close to buffalo wings in Buffalo, New York.
You just won over the whole state of New York with that statement. A whole new group of fans now.
I know that. Well, I'm telling you, I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, and a buddy of mine that I met on The Voice is a huge Bills fan, and the Titans and the Bills played this year, and we don't have to go over how bad the Titans lost in that game. But so we decided I was gonna come up there and we were gonna watch the game, and he asked me, if I like buffalo wings. I was like, yeah, man, I love buffalo wings. And we got to the restaurant, and I mean, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. These wings were bigger, they were hotter, and they just tasted completely better. It kind of ruined buffalo wings for me, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, you go somewhere like that, and I've heard that. Like there's a lot of stuff that started in certain places and it's been perfected in other areas, but I feel like Buffalo, New York still has the handle on that.
They got it right the first time, man. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, how about this for question number 3? What fictional character from TV, movies, books, wherever, would you bring to life and hang out with for a day?
Forrest Gump.
Oh, what a great pick.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Forrest. Just talk to him for a few hours.
Right? Just see what else he's got going on. I'm here for that.
I mean, I'm sure there's some stuff that happened that the movie just left out. So,
there's got to be. Okay, here we go. Final question of the first 4. If you could have an unlimited supply of anything, tacos, guitar strings, scotch tape, fiddles, Pepsi, whatever it is, what would it be?
That's a very good one. Unlimited supply. You mentioned it, but I will say strings of any kind, fiddle, mandolin, and guitar, because that gets expensive.
That is very true.
That would save me a lot of money, and I think I'm going to have to go with it.
Heck, that's almost as good as just having money, really, if you're a musician.
Absolutely, man. And I'm one of those guys that I change strings about after every show.
Okay.
At least with my guitar. With the fiddle, you don't really get too much wear on them, but that guitar, they lose that brand new string sound rather quickly. So I do go through quite a few guitar strings.
There you have it, guys. The first 4 with Carson Peters. Carson, thanks for playing along with us. But now let's get to know you a little bit. Give us the quick rundown of growing up and tell us how you first got into music, before the whole Jay Leno situation. But tell us about growing up and when you started playing.
Yeah. So music has been pretty much the main factor in my life ever since I can remember. I started out on the fiddle when I was 3.5. I was always musical as a child. Mom and dad would say, just at church and stuff, I'd be clapping along to the music, when I was a little baby. And so they figured, that I might be musical when I grew up. My grandmother bought me a little Walmart ukulele kind of deal when I was like 2.5, I think. And I started picking out some simple songs, like Twinkle Little Star and stuff like that on the ukulele. So mom and dad, figured that they should get an instrument with a little more quality to it. So we were on vacation. I think we were in Pennsylvania, and we were at a little Amish store, and for some reason they had a 1/16 size fiddle for sale at the store. And we looked at it, and mom and dad thought about it, and they almost didn't get it. And then dad turned around and bought the fiddle, which turned out to be a pretty good
That's
move.
A great we
So we got me started on lessons when I was about 3.5, which it took about a half a year to find somebody that would teach a 3-year-old how to play the fiddle. That I can't imagine what a interesting journey that was for the teacher. But after a few lessons, I started catching on pretty quick. And I think the first time I ever played in public was a little benefit concert at a local fire hall, I believe, with some friends of ours. They had me up on stage, and ever since then, that's all I'd really wanted to do. Got involved with started singing when I was about 5, and then started playing other instruments like mandolin and guitar and bass along the way. But that's kind of how I got started, was just the ukulele and the 1/16 size fiddle.
Hey, it works. It seems like that's worked out for you. But walk us through how you ended up on the Tonight Show at just 8.
Yeah. So this was all in the span of like 1 week, from no contact with Jay Leno to me actually being in LA on the stage. So it was all like a whirlwind. We got, let's see, I believe my mom got a call from an LA number. We were sitting at the table eating dinner. And they had the producer of the show called mom and said, "Hey, we found your son on YouTube, and we want to have him up on the stage for a segment with Betty White." And, mom was over the moon about it and couldn't wait to tell me and dad when she got off the phone with him. And so we called him back, obviously said we'd love to do it. And they said, "Okay, good. What are you doing Wednesday?" And this was on like a Saturday. So, yeah. So they flew us out Wednesday, and we got to spend a couple days in LA and see the town and everything, which me coming from Piney Flats, Tennessee, LA was like crazy.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So it was super fun, man. We got to spend a couple days. Like I said, they got us tickets to Universal Studios down there and got to walk around and ride some rides and see all of that. And then got to do the show, and which it's actually funny. We did the Universal thing before the show, but on the show, Jay Leno hands me a little envelope that's supposed to be tickets to Universal Studios, but it was really just a cardboard.
But you guys already had those.
Yeah, we already had that experience, but it was super fun. And after we did the show, we were on a plane back home the next day, and it was just like, whoa.
So did you actually get to hang out with Betty White?
They actually kept me away from her because of that little gag they did. So when I first got on the stage, and I was talking about me playing the fiddle and everything, and Jay told me to start into a song, and they wanted me to play, like some horrible rendition of Twinkle Little Star. Mm-hmm. And so I started into that, and they didn't want me and Betty to be talking and have Betty realize that I've been playing for 5 years or so. So they wanted to get a genuine reaction out of her. So they did keep me away from her.
That's pretty awesome though.
Oh yeah, it was cool. I saw her in the hall one time, and then the producer like grabbed me and shoved me in a hallway and was like, no. I was like, okay, sorry. But we got
let out the big secret.
I know it. We got to meet Robin Williams, which was super cool. He was a guest on that show that night. It was really quick and everything. We met him in passing, but it was cool to say I got to meet Robin Williams for sure.
Oh, definitely. They threw you in there with just the all-star lineup, and they're like, here, go play the
fiddle. I don't know
fiddle.
what they were thinking. But yeah, it was a fun time, man.
That's awesome. So what kind of, when you start off like that, you're from this little town in Tennessee, you end up in LA on late night TV. What was it like kind of being thrust into the limelight like that at what was really a really young age? Did that have an impact on you being, like a quote normal child at all when you went back to Tennessee?
I think it honestly helped that I was so young because I really didn't know exactly what I was doing. Obviously, at 8 years old, not many 8-year-olds watch the Tonight Show. So I knew it was a big deal, but I didn't know exactly what it was, which I think helped me not be as nervous as I would have been.
That's true.
But coming back to Piney Flats and stuff, it was before the show and everything. I had made a, halfway decent name for myself with people just in the area, knowing that there was this little kid that could play the fiddle decent, and but coming back, it was weird, getting stopped in Walmart or getting stopped at the grocery store, or kids at school coming up to you, congratulating you and stuff. It was super cool, and it was a little bit of a dynamic shift, though. It was definitely different when I got back.
Well, and then you went from there, and you've made sort of connections across all of country music a little bit, being on these shows and being in front of different audiences that maybe weren't typically, country music or fiddle style audiences. But at some point you connected with somebody that I would consider kind of a legend in the country world in Ricky Skaggs. And before we talk about the opportunities that, he kind of helped you with, how did you guys get linked up initially?
Yeah, this was back in 2016 when I met Ricky. We opened up for him in Knoxville, Tennessee at the a theater called the Bijou Theater. And, it was my little band, we didn't have any big shows like this. So we were all, over the moon about getting to open up for Ricky Skaggs and getting to meet him and everything. And so we were sound checking earlier on the day of the show. We were doing a little sound check real quick before Ricky got in there, and so they could run the actual sound check. So they were trying to rush us along, and Ricky came in while we were sound checking and sat down on the front row of the theater, which was a little nerve-wracking to say the least. But
I bet
after the sound check and everything, he came up to me and we started talking and everything. And super nice guy, one of the nicest guys I've ever gotten to meet. And after the show, he actually had me come play a fiddle tune with his fiddle player, Andy Leftwich, during his portion of the show. And after the show, we were both selling our merchandise, and he came up to me towards the end of all that. And he said, "What are you doing next Saturday?" I was like, "I don't think anything." And he said, "Well, have you ever played the Opry?" And I was like, "No, sir, I'd love to." And he said, "Well, we're going to do that next Saturday if that's all right with you." And I was like, "That's fine with me, man." So, and it was another one of those things that was just super quick. You don't know what's happening until it already happened. And we were in Nashville the next weekend and got to make my Opry debut with Ricky. And I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else, man. He's helped me with my career a lot, and a great guy as well.
Well, and he's really, it seems like, kind of taken you under his wing and helped you accomplish some pretty big things for teenagers. You talked about the Grand Ole Opry. He also had you out at the CMA Awards show. I mean, those are bucket list items for people that have spent their whole life moving to Nashville to kind of chase these, and you've accomplished them at a pretty young age. What's that like for you when you kind of look back at what you've done at just 19 so far?
Yeah, very, very grateful, to say the least. Ricky has definitely gotten me in places that I didn't think I was going to be in for a long time, at least. The CMAs was a fever dream, man. It was, walking through the hallway and seeing, the who's who of country music. I shared a dressing room with Garth Brooks, which was crazy. Yeah, man, it was nuts. It was one of the coolest nights of my life for sure. But it's just he helped me quite a bit, and I'm very grateful for him, and grateful that God put me in the right position to meet him, and it's hard to think that I got to do all that stuff, and I'm very grateful about it. But at the same time, I want to do it again. It's I'm not grateful to the point where I want to be done with it. But
most definitely, still lots to accomplish
soon. But yeah, that's it definitely helped check a couple items off the bucket list, like you said, and it honestly made me more hungry to get back there. After getting a little taste of it, you want to do it some more.
Well, for sure. That is definitely true. When you look back at like your Grand Ole Opry performance with him, you were still pretty young at that point. Did it really sink in what you were doing, that week leading up to it? For you, I'm sure your parents were really soaking that in, but for you, I mean, being so young, did you understand what it meant to be up on that Opry stage at that point?
I want to say I did, but at the same time, I didn't to the point where I do now, or what my parents did at the time. I knew that me and mom and dad had been to the Opry a couple times. I've gotten to go and be in the audience and stuff, and I knew it was a big deal, and I knew the history behind it, and I was super excited about it. But going out there, I mean, it's a different type of nervous. I used to get nervous, every time we play anywhere. And, now that we're doing it every weekend, it's more of a thing I look forward to instead of, getting a little nervous about. But the Opry, man, if I can't remember who said it, but it was one of the country music stars back in the day that said, if you're not nervous every time you step on that stage, something's wrong with you. And they are exactly right, because it's just a different environment, man. Just stepping out there and then seeing the circle, it's just crazy. So I want to say I understood what I was doing, but definitely not to the level that I do now.
That's fair. And I made it to Nashville for the first time a couple of years ago, and we went on the backstage Opry tour. And I, as somebody kind of in the music world periphery, felt some of that magic on that stage, and there was nobody else in the audience. There was 20 of us on this little tour, just standing on the stage. I can only imagine how magical that is when you're up there and actually performing. That's got to be great.
Yeah, it's another world. They've got the big curtain that they draw back, and we got to stand outside the stage before they did that, and just seeing people lined up. You look as high as you can look, and there's still people sitting up there in the balcony and stuff. It's crazy. It was another world.
So if you hadn't done either of these yet, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot again here, if you hadn't done either one, which one would you be more nervous for, taking the stage at the Opry or taking the stage at the Voice for the first time?
Ooh, in terms of the I don't want to say importance, but the magnitude for a country artist, I would say the Opry still, just because of the history behind it and everything. And it's honestly a different type of nervous. You get the same nervous feelings, the shakiness and the sweating, but with the Voice, it was different, because I knew that I usually didn't have to worry about impressing people. I was just worried about putting on a good performance. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, maybe it's just not for you. But with the Voice, if they don't turn the chairs, I'm going home. So I've got to make them.
That's true.
So it was a different type of nervous. It really felt more like I guess that's why they call it the blind auditions. It felt more like an audition than a performance. But once the music starts, that's the thing with the Opry and with the Voice. Once the music started, all the nervousness and everything goes away, and we're just having a good time out there. Luckily, I'm sure that one time in my career, I'm sure that after the music starts, I'm still going to be nervous. But it was definitely. Once the music starts, you get in the zone a little bit, and you just start having a good time.
Well, and I guess this is kind of a good time to turn our attention towards your appearance on The Voice. And before we talk about what the actual appearance was like, pull back the curtain on what it was like leading up to that blind audition. How did they contact you? What was that like prior to actually walking out on stage?
Yeah, man. So that was a ordeal in itself. It was a long journey that I didn't think I'd make it that far on. It was more just it was during COVID. Our band had about 80 shows scheduled for 2020, and we maybe did 5. And we were just all sitting at the house, locked up, and I was bored as could be, and saw a little Instagram ad on my phone for The Voice. It said virtual open call auditions. They were doing it remotely because of COVID. they were doing the virtual open call auditions, and it started at some point. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sign up for that, because I'd wanted to do one of these competition shows at some point. And I was like, there's no better time than right now, because I'm not going to have to miss any shows, not going to have to miss any fun events, because nobody's doing anything fun right now.
That's true.
So I was like, this is the perfect time for that. I just thought I would send in an audition, and probably, I thought I may make it a couple rounds into the audition process. But I definitely didn't think I'd make the show by any means. But the first round of the auditions, you just set up your camera and film a little 90-second video of a song of your choice, and you kind of introduce yourself, say, where you're from and all that. And then I got an email back about an hour later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
I didn't
quick.
think I know it told me it was going to be, up to 3 days. So I was, ready to wait it out, and then got the email back about an hour later, said I got a call back. And then I think the next thing I did was they wanted 3 full-length cover songs with one with a track, and then 2, if you wanted to do them by yourself or with an accompanist. And so I did a couple like that, and then did one to a track. And after that, this was actually about a week wait for that one. So I thought I was off by that point, but they called me back, and this time they called me and said, "Hey, you made it to the next kind of stage in the audition. The next one's a interview with our producers." So did a little interview and a couple more interviews here and there. And then we finally got a call. I was on the way home from a gig not too far from the house. And they called and said, "Hey, we're just going to let you know you made it on the season 21. And they sent over some flight information. And next thing you know, we were in Los Angeles again. So it was a long process. I'd say probably about 2 months from when I first did the first audition to when we got the information that we made the show, or that I made the show. And then probably another month until we flew out there. So it was a long ordeal. And then it's even longer ordeal once you actually get out there and play the hurry up and wait game of show business. But
I bet. Well, pause right there for a second. What was that feeling like when you, one, looked at your phone and saw that there was probably I assume an LA number somewhere that wasn't near you number that was calling, and then to hear them actually say that you made the show? What was going through your mind?
It was more of a like, no way this is actually happening. Like the other things that I've been blessed enough to do, it was like, total joy and just super happy about it. And this one was like, are they for real? Like, I did not expect any of this, because I did it off a whim and had no previous plans to do this. So when I figured out that was happening, I was like, well, dadgum, here we go. But
here you go.
It was super exciting. And honestly, I was excited about it and looking forward to it, but it didn't really get super exciting until, I actually got out there, started meeting the people that were on the season with me. And once you got into the thick of things, that's when it got really fun.
So what was that day like? We've had a couple of voice guests or voice people on here as guests, and it seems like it's different every time. What was your day like leading up to actually getting up on stage?
Well, let's see. The day of the blind audition, you mean? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
The day right up until the point that you actually take the stage.
Okay. Yeah. This was a stressful day, to say the least, because they wouldn't tell us who was going to be, going for that particular day. They spread it out for about 4 days. They wouldn't tell us who was going until the day before. So we'd all get on a big Zoom call.
There's some extra stress there.
Yeah. Just as if there wasn't enough. But they finally let me know I was on day 3 of 4. And so those first 2 days were absolute horrible, just waiting that out. But finally on day 3, got up, and I got up early, and I think I went on a run that morning, and I do not run. That was just something that popped in my head. And I was like,
that's how you knew it was going to be a special day.
I was like, this is probably going to be the best thing I can do. Just run and tire myself out and kind of clear my mind a little bit. But we ordered some DoorDash Chick-fil-A, which is like $70 in LA, and which Chick-fil-A became my pre-show meal for The Voice after the blind auditions.
I feel like you got to stick with it.
Yeah, I purely out of superstition, but yes. So they loaded us in and drove us to the studio, and we waited. There was about, I think, 12 of us going that day. No, there may have been more. It's probably closer to 20. And we were all sitting in this little room behind the stage. We could hear everything that was going on in the stage, but it was muffled enough to where we couldn't, understand what was going on. So we would hear, people singing, and then we'd hear some talking that we couldn't, decipher. And then we'd hear the audience go crazy when somebody picked a coach or whatnot. And which is crazy to hear that going on, knowing that you're about to be up there. And it didn't ease the nerves by any means. But about 15 minutes before I was supposed to go on for my audition, they brought me up to this little room, and we ran over the song a couple times with another vocal coach, and just kind of make sure everything was the way we wanted it. And that's one thing I will say. They made sure we were prepared. They did a really good job of that, which I don't think it's the same way on many of those other shows. But we knew exactly what we were wanting to do, at least. It was just a matter of doing it by the time we got up on stage. But they had me about, I guess, 2 or 3 minutes before my audition. I was sitting behind the door that opens, for the artist to walk in, and they make you stand there for like 3 minutes. And it was awful, the longest 3 minutes of my life.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Pacing back and forth, shaking like a leaf, But once the doors open, and they've got this big PA announcer voice. It's like, the next artist is entering, making it all sound, real dramatic and everything. And walked up there, and I guess this is actually kind of funny. I got up there, and I was a ball of nerves, man. I was super nervous. And then I guess I kind of zoned out a little bit. And I did not hear the drummer kick the song off. And so next thing I know, the song had started. And I mean, out of nowhere for me, the band knew what was going on, but I was in my own little world up there. And I jumped when the music kicked in, because, we did Tulsa Tom, the Don Williams song, and it starts out with a little intro, and it's real like, abrupt. Dun, 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 dun. And I mean, when that first note hit, I jumped out of my boots, man. And they almost, I figured they were going to put it on TV because I thought it was kind of funny. But I started laughing at myself because I made eye contact with somebody in the audience, and they started laughing at me. And I just was like, okay, we're fine. And it kind of jumped the nerves out of me a little bit.
Well, so then from there, you play the song and you get all 4 chairs to turn around. What was it like when you saw the first one turn around? And then walk us through what it's like as you saw each one turn around, because that's got to be something, as many nerves and as nervous as you were for the days leading up to it. That moment, not only when you got the first one to turn around, but when you got the 4th one to turn around, had to just be incredible.
Oh yeah, man. So leading up to it, I really thought, once we got the song and everything, Tulsa Tom was really the one that I wanted to do. And I was super happy when everything worked out to where that song was going to work out for me to sing it. And the band rehearsals and all the rehearsing and singing in the hotel room, I thought if I nailed it, I could get 2. I thought maybe Blake and Kelly would turn. And I thought,
real quick there, how long do you get to practice with the band prior to actually going up there?
So there is one band rehearsal and then stage rehearsal. So I had played the song actually with the band 2 times.
Okay. Wow.
Before it, which is a little scary, but they gave you some tracks. They recorded all the rehearsals so you could listen to it and kind of, get a feel for it.
Oh,
so
nice.
It wasn't bad. And I come from bluegrass. We work up a song 5 minutes before.
Oh yeah. You're ready for that.
So that was right up my alley, luckily. But the song started, and I really did think that if I nailed it, I'd get 2. If I almost nailed it, maybe I could still get Blake to turn. 4 chairs was not in my vision for this song at all. And so I start into it, and we get through the first verse, and I'm like, okay, it's going good so far. And then John turns, and all the nerves left as soon as I saw the light light up and his chair start turning. All the nerves went out the window, and, we were just legitimately having a good time up there after that. And, John starts dancing along to the song and whatnot. And at the end of, right before the chorus, no, it may have been right at the end of the chorus is when Blake turned. And that was the one I wanted, obviously. So that was a big relief. The crowd went crazy because they knew I'd probably pick him. So once Blake turned, I'm like, no way, I got Blake and John. So I'm just sitting here. I'm like, okay, just finish the song. Remember the words. And towards the beginning of the last chorus, Ariana turned, which I did not think I would get Ariana to turn at all. And me being a 17-year-old kid at the time, I was over the moon that Ariana turned,
Oh, I bet.
I'm really glad that she was facing the other way when I started singing, because when she turned around, I got lost, man. I made eye contact with her and I was like, no way.
Is this my real life?
Yeah. I was like, no way this is actually happening. And then on the very last note is when Kelly turned, and it was the highest note I had hit in the song. So my eyes were closed, and they had been telling me the whole time throughout the rehearsals and stuff, don't close your eyes, open your eyes. And I'm just a habitual eyes closed singer. And so towards the end of the song, I just forgot, due to all the excitement I was going through.
Had to break that eye contact with Ariana.
Yeah, for sure. Something had to happen. I was not going to get through it. But I closed my eyes for the last note, and Kelly had turned around while my eyes were closed, and I opened them and they were all four turned. But I thought it was just because the song had ended, and, because they turn the chairs around once the song ends so they can talk to you. So I thought I got three, and I was, over the moon about that. And then the whole stage lights up, and it says 4 chairs everywhere on the stage. And I'm like, no way. Did she actually turn?
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, here we go. Then I had the decision to make that I did not think I would have to make. I thought if anything, I'd be deciding between 2 people instead of 4.
So what was that? What was it that pushed you to Team Blake? Was it just kind of that's where you had thought you were going on the way in?
That is definitely where I thought I was going to go. Before the audition and everything, we had talked about it, the contestants on that season. We had all had our, little list of where we would want to go if we got the chance. And Blake was definitely somebody that I wanted to work with, given that I'm a bluegrass and country artist. It just made the most sense, obviously. But when they started talking is when all that went out the window, and I'm like, man, I really don't know who I'm going to pick. I thought I would, I thought if Blake turned, I was going Team Blake, no doubt. And then they all started talking and doing their little pitch and stuff. And I'm like, I'm standing up there getting ready to make the decision. I'm like, I actually don't know who I'm going to pick right now. And so Kelly starts talking, and I really just, I don't know, something didn't feel right. So I was like, okay, maybe not Kelly. I don't know. Because I thought Kelly would be my second guess. But then John started talking, and John definitely knows how to talk, man. He was very convincing. I almost went with Team John. That was, I was really deciding between John and Blake when it came down to the end of it. And then Blake was the last one to talk, and he started mentioning all my bluegrass heroes and all my country heroes. And what he said that really got me to realize that that's where I needed to be is he said, these guys are not country acts. They're going to have you singing some Florida Georgia line stuff. And I know you don't want to be doing that. You want to be doing the old country stuff. And he's like, stick with me. We'll play some Keith Whitley and Ricky Skaggs. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Oh, there you go.
I was Team Blake as soon as he said that.
I mean, even though he didn't know who you were, it was almost like he did his homework. That's pretty good for Blake.
I know it. They did get it out of me that I started in bluegrass, and I was wanting to do some bluegrass stuff on the show, but I don't guess that sells well in the NBC term of things. But maybe if I would have made it a little further, I could have talked them into it. But I guess we'll never know. But so me doing the country thing, I didn't think the bluegrass was going to come up, so I was glad that they brought that up and told him I was a fiddle player and whatnot. So I guess that's where he got the Ricky Skaggs and Keith Whitley stuff. But those were the 2 names you needed to say to get me on your team.
And it worked, and you made it to the knockout rounds. And I actually remember you being in the knockout rounds specifically because of the fiddle. So yes, what was that talk like when you was that their idea to bring you out with the fiddle? Was that something that you had wanted to do?
Yeah, that's something that I had wanted to do since the blind auditions, really. I kind of wanted, I had always been on the stage with a fiddle. I'd been on, I had done a full show with a guitar maybe twice before this. So guitar was a little foreign to me. And country music, honestly, live performance country music was pretty new to me on this show too. I really didn't do much of it at all. So it was a big shift for me. And it kind of, I wish I would have kind of got a little more used to having the country band behind me, because I didn't feel like as at home as I would, if there was a bluegrass band. But that's hindsight's 2020. But yeah, I'd wanted to do the fiddle throughout the whole show, really. But it kind of made sense for the knockouts to be the first one where the fiddle came through, because with the battle rounds, you're going against somebody, and if that person doesn't play an instrument, it could seem a little unfair that they gave me a fiddle break in a song.
That's a good point.
But with once Amarillo by Morning was decided upon, I was like, okay, they're gonna let me play the fiddle now, because it's got the fiddle intro and everything. I was like, okay, it's adding up. So I was happy about that. I wanted to play my fiddle, but my fiddle did not have a pickup in it to where you could plug it in, and so we had to rent some violin that they found in LA with a pickup in it, and it was not the best sounding fiddle in the world, but we made it work. And it was a fun time with that song. That song gave me a lot more trouble than I expected it to, just because George Strait makes it sound easy as can be, but with the vocal range of that song, he sings it a little lower than I sang it. I wanted to kind of keep it up in my register of things and keep myself comfortable, mainly up there, because I knew I was going to be nervous. And I thought that was definitely my worst performance on the show. I don't even listen to that one on YouTube. I don't watch hardly any of the voice other than the Tulsa Tom clip every now and then when somebody's talking about it. But I definitely do not turn on the Amarillo by Morning performance. But it was fun, man. I'm glad that I got to play the fiddle at least. It was something that I wanted to do, and I would like to do it on a faster song too at one point on the show, just to kind of show off a little bit. But we didn't get there, so it's all right.
That's okay. It seems like it's been working out for you since then, and we have talked a lot about what you've done, but I want to turn the attention towards your music for a little bit and your sound. We've got a couple of songs for everybody to hear what the Carson Peters sound is. The first one we have, it's a cover, I believe. It's My Little Girl in Tennessee. I think it was first recorded by Flatt and Scruggs. Is that right?
That's right.
Am I on the right track? Okay. So
your homework.
What was it about this song that drew you to re-record it?
Yeah, so this is actually off the Bluegrass Band's latest recorded project, which is actually from pre-voice. I believe it was 2018 or 2019. So I definitely sound a little younger than I do on the show and now, of course. But we had always done this one at shows, and it's super high energy, and we always like doing the high energy bluegrass songs that get people, clapping their hands and dancing. And Flatt and Scruggs probably did a better job on it than we did, but we decided on this one and decided to put that one on the record. And it turned out to be one of the more popular ones on there, and people have been requesting it at shows more and more. But yeah, it encompasses what we like about bluegrass music, really. It's got the fast beat to it, which who doesn't like a good old fast bluegrass song, and got some good harmony spots in there. That's something that our band really focuses on is the harmony, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important parts of bluegrass music that you don't hear in too many other genres as present as the harmony is in bluegrass. And, it was a good tune. It's kind of a standard tune. A lot of people do it, but we figured we'd throw it in there just for fun.
Well, here, let's give everybody a chance to take a listen to it. This one is My Little Girl in Tennessee, a little bluegrass from Carson Peters.
There's the sweetest little girl that was ever in this world, down in the hills of Tennessee. Oh, little girl of mine in Tennessee, I know she's you've treated me. But I've rambled all around, and there's nothing to be found that could take the place of her in Tennessee. Oh, little girl of mine in Tennessee, I know she's waiting there for me. Someday I'll settle down in that little country town with that little girl of mine in Tennessee. Well, someday I'll wander back to that little cabin shack, little girl that's waiting there for me. I can see her smiling face waiting for me at the gate. Oh, little girl of mine in Tennessee. Oh, little girl of mine in Tennessee, I know she's waiting there for me. Someday I'll settle down in that little country town with that little girl of mine in Tennessee. Someday I'll settle down in that little country town with that little girl of mine in Tennessee.
A little bluegrass. That was My Little Girl in Tennessee. Our guest, Carson Peters. And Carson, it was just announced, I think just a couple of weeks ago here, that you'll be taking the stage at FarmJam Festival Labor Day weekend in Colville for their new Jam of Faith Sunday morning. It's something that we've been involved with the last few years. I'll be the MC up there on the stage. But have you ever been up here and played in this area before?
I have not, man. This is
It'll be a good time.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, man. One of the first bigger shows that Carson Peters and Iron Mountain, that this bluegrass band has played was in 2017 or 2018 one. We went to Butte, Montana, and that is as far west as we've gotten, and we are very excited about going even farther west than that. I know that the guys are ready for the road trip. I think it's about 38 hours from Piney Flats. but we're going to truck along and we'll be there. I'm super excited about it.
Well, I'm excited to get you guys out there. The Jam of Faith at FarmJam is something that's completely new this year. Something that a lot of people had asked for, and you get to be a part of that out there, kind of spreading the message. How important is it for you to take the stage during a service like this at a festival?
Yeah, man. And that's something you don't see at many festivals either, which is super cool that they're devoting that Sunday to that service. And gospel music is super, super prevalent in bluegrass. There's a whole subgenre of gospel, bluegrass gospel, whatever you want to call it, that has been popular since bluegrass was popular. And we really enjoy playing it. We do about half of our shows are at churches for their services and stuff like that. And we'll do a full set of bluegrass gospel like we will be doing at FarmJam. But man, it's an honor to be part of the first one. That's for sure. And I'm glad that we were able to work it out.
And if you're out there listening, you can get your tickets at farmjam.com or farmjam.frontgatetickets.com or farmjamfestival.com, because it is going to be an absolutely incredible weekend. They already announced Saturday night, Rodney Atkins will be there. They released the Friday night lineup. That's always great local artists. And then you'll be there on Sunday to kick that off. It's going to be just such a great time. I'm excited to be there and to see what you guys do that morning. But what can people expect when Carson Peters and Iron Mountain take the stage that Sunday morning?
Yeah. From my understanding, I don't believe that FarmJam has had a pure bluegrass act in a little while. So we may be foreigners when we come in there, but it's going to be with our bluegrass shows, our primarily bluegrass shows, we love to keep it high energy, and we don't want to change any of that when we do our bluegrass gospel shows by any means. So we pick out some good old fast bluegrass dancing songs that just have gospel words to them, and like to keep the feel of your traditional bluegrass. One thing about bluegrass music that kind of separates it from other genres is the focus on the instrumental side of things. With country and with really any other genre, it's mainly focused on the singer, but after every verse and chorus of a bluegrass song, you're going to have somebody be taking a solo there, whether that be a banjo or mandolin or a fiddle or a guitar, whatever. So we really focus on the instrumental side of things. And like I mentioned earlier, the harmony part of things, we do a lot of a cappella gospel harmony stuff in our gospel shows. And we enjoy that stuff as well. So it's going to be a fun experience for somebody that hasn't gotten to hear much bluegrass. So we're looking forward to bringing it to the area.
Well, in the area that this festival takes place in is kind of up in the foothills of the mountains, kind of I don't want to say bluegrassy, because that's not the term that I'm looking for, but kind of that same style, the rural America style up there. So I think you guys will fit in just great, and it'll be a perfect way to kick off that Sunday, because the campground there is right on top of the venue, basically. So even people that aren't in the venue will be able to hear you guys out there a little bit, and a nice way to start the day. I love it. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. We're excited as well. We're looking forward to it.
And we've got one more song for everybody. This one is called "He's All I Need." I assume it's probably a song that we might hear at FarmJam, but give us the story behind deciding to record this one.
Yeah. So this is a gospel song. This is one of our most requested gospel songs. We've actually had 3 or 4 artists come to us and want to record it for themselves, which is something that we didn't think was going to happen. And it's honestly it's an honor when somebody comes up to you wanting to record your stuff. And this was actually, we didn't write it. My dad's friend, his name is Mark Jackson. He is one heck of a songwriter and has wrote 3 or 4 songs for us. And this one has been our favorite ever since we heard it. It's Mark's got his own story behind why he wrote this song, and it's just a beautiful story. And it really just talks about, no matter what goes on in life, you don't need anything but Jesus and his love for you. And I think it's got a really simple but great message to it. And this was one of those no-brainers that when we heard it, we knew we were going to put it on the next project.
Well, yeah, let's give everybody a chance to hear this one. It's called "He's All I Need."
I don't need silver, and I don't need gold. I don't need the things of this world to satisfy my soul, but I need Jesus and all he can give. He's my salvation, and he's why I live, and he's all I need when trials come. He's all I need when there's nowhere to turn. And when I'm in trouble, I'm caught in the storm, he takes care of me. He's all I need when that time will come, and I cross that river when my life here is done. And I've fought the battle, the victory's been won, and he's all I need. No, I don't need fortune, and I don't need fame. I don't really care if anyone ever knows my name. 'cause I know Jesus, and he knows me, and that's all that matters, 'cause he is the master, and he's my everything, and he's all I need when trials come, and he's all I need when there's nowhere to turn, and when I'm in trouble, I'm caught in the storm, he takes care of me. He's all I need when that time will come, and I cross that river when my life here is done, and I've fought the battle, the victory's been won, he's all I need.
And that was He's All I Need from today's guest, Carson Peters. And Carson, where can people keep up with what you've got going on next? What's your website and your social media?
Yeah, man. So our bluegrass band, Carson Peters and Iron Mountain, you can find us on Facebook. We try to keep everybody up to date on where we're going to be and when we're going to be there, and post some videos from shows, and we have a good time running that Facebook page. That's also a fun journey, is learning how to run a Facebook page for a band, which
I bet
we'll talk about that for hours. But yeah, that you can find us there. You can find me on social media at Carson Peters Music on Instagram, and I guess Instagram is mainly what I run everything through for my solo stuff, that being, more country kind of stuff like that. And any solo shows I'm doing, just me and the guitar and stuff like that. I also have a TikTok for the TikTokers out there. That's Carson Peters Music as well. But yeah, that's where you can keep up with us. We've also got a website I forgot to mention. It's carsonandironmt.com, and that's for the bluegrass band.
Well, awesome. They're going to follow you all over the place here. So that looks like you've got it set up for everything that you need. And Carson, man, it's been an absolute blast. We're definitely going to have you on again, maybe just to talk about running the band's social media. But before we let you get out of here, we end every show kind of the same way we start it. 4 questions that kind of make you think. You up for it?
I'm up for it, man.
It's time for the Final Four.
Okay, here we go. First question of the Final Four. What is your favorite fiddle brand?
Ooh, okay, yeah. This is good. My favorite fiddle that I have was actually made by my second fiddle teacher. His name is Keith Williams. He hand makes fiddles. He's made probably 60 or 70, I believe.
Oh wow.
I got mine in 2016. So it was actually directly after the Opry, because the time we came back to the Opry was the first show I played with that new fiddle. And I have enjoyed that fiddle, and it sounds better and better every time I play it. It just keeps opening up, man. It's got more tone in it than any other fiddle I've played. So it had to be my hometown fiddle teacher, Keith Williams.
Oh yeah, I feel like you can't say anything else.
Absolutely, man. It's you can really tell the difference in a handmade fiddle, and most of them are. There's definitely some more expensive options depending on who exactly made them and all that. But as far as a good bluegrass fiddle, I can't go anywhere else.
Awesome. Okay, here we go. Question number 2. Who are the 3 most recently played artists on your Spotify or Apple playlist? And you can cheat and look if you need to.
All right, I'm gonna look real quick. Let's see here. All right, Keith Whitley.
As expected.
Oh yeah. That's just good driving down the road music.
Yep.
We got Bobby Hicks, my personal favorite fiddle player. I take a lot of a lot of his stuff, I just straight up steal it most of the time, but sometimes I'll put my own spin on it. But Bobby Hicks is there, and that's one that I honestly don't listen to all the time. But Sturgill Simpson's on there.
Okay.
I do like Sturgill. You know, he's another one of those guys that does the bluegrass thing and the country thing. You know, he's kind of the opposite of what I'm doing. I'm doing mainly bluegrass and dabbling in country here and there, and he's doing mainly country. And he just released didn't just release, but he released a bluegrass album that's just absolutely killer. And if you haven't heard it, go listen to it. It's I think it's called Cutting Grass, and it is one of my favorite bluegrass albums. It
is a great album. I can tell you that much. I've listened to it front to back a couple of times.
Oh yeah,
it really sucks you in. Really,
it does. It does. He he's got one of those voices that's just, you know, it's. I want to compare it to Waylon almost, but it's got its own little thing to it that just keeps you listening.
Okay, question number 3. When you're out on the road, you're out traveling, what's the one place that you have to stop every time you see it? You know, restaurant, gas station, grocery store, whatever.
Go-kart track.
Where is it?
A go-kart track, any go-kart.
Oh, okay.
Our band loves go-kart tracks. That is something that we have done since we started in 2016. I think the first time we did it, we were in Nashville. It may have been for the Opry, and we had some time to kill, and we had heard about this indoor go-kart place, and so we pull up to the go-kart place, and we did not realize the caliber of go-karts these things were. I mean, they're going like 55 miles an hour, man. It's like an indie track kind of thing, and we ate that up. So we look for a indoor go-kart track wherever we go now.
Oh, that's a good call. And just if you're ever in Las Vegas, they've got a what they call a European style go-kart that's insanely fast. Mm-hmm. And then when you're up here in the Northwest, they've got a dirt go-kart track here in Spokane. So you guys will have to check that out while you're up here. Okay, here we go. Last question, and take as much or as little time to answer this one as you want. If you could pick one thing for people to take away from your appearance on this show, or just from your journey in music in general, what would it be?
That's good. That's something that I feel like a lot of artists have to ask themselves, is, kind of what vibe you want to put out there. And for me, I just want people to think, to know that I'm a Christian and that I live for the Lord, and that I also, I try to be as nice as I can to whoever I can, just throughout my career speaking. I've been on the wrong end of a lot of meeting I don't want to say heroes, because my absolute hero, Ricky, he's been the nicest guy I've gotten to meet, but there's definitely been a couple celebrities that I've gotten to meet that have just not lived up to their reputation. And that's the last thing I want people to think about me. I want people to first think, I'm a good guy at heart, and that I'm a Christian for sure.
That's a heck of a way to end it. Carson, thank you so much. I'm excited to meet you at FarmJam, and we'll definitely, like I said, have you on here again in the future.
I can't wait, man. You just let me know.
Deal. And guys, that was another episode of the Tea Party Podcast. It's a country music podcast where you find new friends and new music like Carson Peters and Iron Mountain.
Go tee off on the like button at facebook.com/Tea Party Podcast. This has been a Tea Party Communications production. Theme music created by Jesse Quandt. Announcer voiceovers by Jay Gwinn. And as always, hosted by Ty Pisani.